real shit. Roach clips here to give you real shit. Roach clips here to give you real tips. Roach clips here to talk about real shit. About life that they don't wanna hit. Roach clips here to talk about real shit. Dusty Big. Roach clips here to give you real tips. Roach clips here to talk about real shit. About life that they don't wanna hit. It's the no shit with the Roach clips. It's the no shit with the Roach clips. Get your no shit from the Roaches. It's the no shit with the Roach clips. It's the no shit with the Roach clips. It's the no shit with the Roach clips. Get your no shit from the Roaches. It's the no shit with the Roach clips.
Yo, welcome to Roach Clips. This is the second episode for season 1. This is your boy Dusty B, and to the left of me,
Mikey Slims, how we doing, everybody? Welcome back to Roach Clips. Hope you guys enjoy. To the left of me,
You got Clay Boy. How you doing, y'all? Hope you enjoy the show. To the left of me, though.
This is your boy Buddha, AK. This is not my Don bag. I'm holding it for a friend. Welcome to the show.
and Jimmy is temporarily absent for this portion of the show. He'll be on the second half. But today's topic is bullying, and we figured we start off with the definition. Simply put, to use superior strength or influence to intimidate someone, typically to force him or her to do what one wants.
to caveat on that, it could be physical strength or mental strength. That shit.
So, yeah, you know, you're right.
There's actually categories. There's verbal, social, physical.
But 25% of U.S. students say that they have been bullied at school, and 9% were cyberbullied between grades 6 through 12. Middle school is where most bullying occurs, and although it is on the decline, it's still pretty prevalent as today. Actually, if you look at stats from the 90s, 12 of the 15 school shootings were linked to children who were bullied.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's actually why we're talking about it here today, is because, you know, it's so close to the most recent event with the school shootings and stuff like that,
But like,
that transpired.
Like me personally, because I feel like, you know, everybody's gone through some type of form of bullying. The first thing that goes through my mind thinking about it today is, how do you go about it? And first thing, you know, I would tell a kid is obviously let an adult know, let me know, you know, just let someone know that can kind of help you, you know, figure out a way to get you out that situation. Maybe a talk needs to, maybe there's something behind it while you're being bullied. Maybe, you know, you're just taking the joke too serious, because I've been in that situation myself, you know what I'm saying? And if you just, you know, sometimes laugh, you know, throw the bully off or something, you know, like, it's just, I feel like at the same time, it's just so much you can do, because, you know, like, you have the internet and all these different, you know, social outlets for, you know, these teens, and they're the ones who rule the world when you really think about it. So, you know, everything revolves around whatever's appealing to them, and then, you know, if you're not hip, if you're not cool, you know the deal, you know, you get bullied.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the kids who are the bullies, you know, there is some sort of psychological thing to it, that they're, you know, they may feel inferior in some way, or, you know, they don't have the coping mechanisms to handle these you know, thoughts, so they outlash, and you know, it makes them feel better to make another kid feel as bad as they do. You know what I mean? So
On top of that, kids who bully other kids at home, for them, they either get bullied by their brothers and sisters or by their parents.
Exactly.
So they feel like they should do it to other kids at school to make them feel the same way.
Exactly.
And or like, it could be physical at home too. So then they come to school and then they want to beat someone up because they got beat up at home. You know, it sucks, but
it happens.
Yeah, it does happen.
It's actually funny you actually bring it to a thought. But someone that I know told me that, you know, a fellow student in the school that she worked at was, you know, a bully amongst the kids, and she always wondered, you know, what kind of home he comes from that makes him want to come to school and act like that. And ironically, she takes her son to the barbershop only to see the same kid in the barbershop sweeping up the barbershop, you know what I'm saying? I guess his dad working there with the owner, whatever the case was. And, you know, once he saw her, you know, that let him know, like, oh, like, I need to straighten up. So you could tell what it was. he probably gets really disciplined. He doesn't like it, and then he goes to school and takes his aggression out on all the kids. But once he had once he had to cross that line because he saw a fellow teacher walk into his dad's barbershop, it was like, oh dang, now like I have no choice. Like now I need to straighten up, and you eventually embrace that. Talk with respect, all that, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's just a line that needs to be crossed, and it could help the bully, or, prevent more, these crazy fucking results that's been going on, because it's just absurd for a fucking 6th grader to be holding a gun. This just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And what you said, Clay, like, when you get bullied and shit, like, there's mad ways of handling that. First of all, if you're on the other end of it and you're the one getting bullied, like, you either is one of two things. Either it's you need to take the joke less seriously and you just don't know how, and that's when they keep bullying you, or it's because the bully is being too aggressive, like how me and Steve were saying before.
Well, because I keep hearing this, like, hey, don't take, he's taking it the wrong way. There was a child, and I'm not going to say his name, he suffered from Asperger's, and he was a homosexual. So, on top of all that, these kids would call him, excuse my language, faggot, things. And his mother went to school because, that would affect you. I don't care how strong you are. That's going to affect you.
Yeah.
And the response she got was, boys will be boys, or he's taking it the wrong way. I think to a point, taking it, telling someone like, yo, lighten up, but to them, that's cutting way too deep. And unfortunately, this child, he was only 17, he hung himself in his room. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be I get there's a line between taking a joke too seriously, but then it's like, you gotta understand where they're coming from.
No, of course. And if a joke is taken too far and the student doesn't like it or the person doesn't like it, then you go to somebody and talk to them about it and be like, listen, I don't like this. Or you go to that person, you need to stop doing this because, I feel some type of way about it. And if they don't stop, then take action. Whether not an extreme action, but
exactly,
but
do something. And that's
something.
what I was gonna add on. Is you have those adults who just want to assume that they know what that kid is going through, and they're just like, oh, he's just mad about this, that, and the third, not knowing that there's a whole situation behind this person's emotion. You're not talking to him. You're not asking him, why do you feel the way you do? How's your day going? You know what I'm saying? Like, these teachers aren't doing that. These, people in the schools aren't doing that at all.
So let me ask you something real quick. Now, obviously, there's a relatively decent age gap between teachers and students, right? So you got the teachers who, when they were young, bullying was completely different than how bullying is now. So, like, do you think, like, sometimes they're a little out of touch? Like, you're taking it too seriously, but it's a lot different now. Do you know what I mean?
No,
so,
I know what you mean.
I was going to say, assuming everybody here is probably actually falling into that demographic of the 25%, rule type deal. I'm sure all of us have been bullied at some point or time. But, care to share any of your experiences type deal?
Oh man,
shit. I have a lot of experiences. I'm always a skinny, small kid, so
technically we bully you every day.
Yeah, I mean, even my friends bully me.
But I fuck with you.
Listen. I don't take it so seriously. It's all kidding around and joking around, and when it's crossed the line, I say something about it. So, and for the most part, they don't say what I don't like, and I go back at it. I say the same shit to them, I joke around with them. It's all fun and games. But for school, I feel like when you take it physically, then it's more of a problem. Like, almost 100% of the time, it's like you're taking it too far. I'm not saying I got physically beat up at school, but I've seen plenty of kids who have gotten physically beat up at school, and you know, the people around them don't say anything, and that's the worst part, is you just watch it happen. Sometimes even teachers just watch it happen, and it's like, what are you really there for?
And what's so crazy, funny you say that, is 1 in 4 teachers see nothing wrong with bullying, like about pretty much.
Yeah, they say it's like commonplace type deal, right?
Yeah, they feel it's like common progression through school and through childhood, and I don't think that's right.
There's a line. There's a line. Just like you said, you know, when people cross that line with you, there's always a line.
And if you correct them, typically over time, you just break them down. They're gonna eventually give and realize that it's not fun. Like, especially if you eventually flip the script on them. You know, you show them like, yeah, like, yo.
You're like, that's what you think?
That's real and original, bro.
Yeah, for real. It'll throw them off. Like, little do you know, it'll throw them off.
Well, a lot of y'all don't know this, but I'm a large man. I'm a big guy. Always have been.
You wear it lovely.
Always have been.
Always have been.
You wear it lovely.
Thank you. But yeah, no, it's like that was always the go-to to every bully, man. Like, you fat, you man titties, all this, you know, all that shit. Unfortunately, I didn't handle it as well as, you know, I always fought back physically.
Of course, as you should.
And as I've gotten older, my skin has gotten a lot thicker. So now it's like, all right, yeah, man, you can't tell me anything I haven't heard already. You know what I mean? Unless you come out with some left field shit. But anyways, you know, sometimes, and I'm not condoning that. There are other healthier ways to deal with it. That's how I dealt with it, though, because I grew up in a different environment where it was like dog eat dog. You know what I mean? So, that was unfortunately the way I handled it. And, you know, to be honest, I do and I don't regret it. It's because I just wish I would have handled it a lot better. And I actually made friends from it, as weird as it sounds. So
it happens. It definitely happens.
You know, that was my experience with it as I was growing up.
You know, that actually happens more than you guys may think. Like, if you get bullied by a kid and you stand up for yourself, you know, a lot of the times they actually befriend you.
Yeah.
Because, like, they're like, oh, this guy won't take any shit? Oh, cool, let's be friends, you know?
I dapped one of my bullies in JD's.
Let's go.
Yeah. He was like, yo, I haven't seen you forever, and we were talking to him and shit. Like, yeah, nah, I mean, he used to bully me too, but eventually we became friends, you know.
It's crazy how that happens.
I didn't dap my bully up, but I shook his hand.
Oh, okay.
But nah, I still don't fuck with that dude. Fuck that dude.
It happens, man. You're not, like I said, it's not every time, but
yeah. Nah, the only time, well, there's been a few times, but I wouldn't necessarily call it bullying because it never really got too physical. It was just somebody chatting. I never gave them the time of day, so they eventually left me alone type deal. But when I was in middle school, you know, there was a few dudes who obviously got left back. You know, no offense, shout out to y'all, they still love y'all. But this dude thought he could just bully me around, and you know, he had some inches on me. I was real short back in the day, like 7th grade. I was real short. I ain't hit my growth spurt yet, so they just always trying to take advantage of me and shit. And I had to fight back. I didn't want to fight, but you know, he ain't say nothing to me after that day. I didn't have a problem after that day. It didn't matter how the fight went. It was just the fact that I fought back, you know?
So that's facts. You know, sometimes, unfortunately, you know, you've tried talking, you've tried going to the teachers, and
nothing just works. Yeah. And sometimes that kid just needed a good old-fashioned ass
up,
whooping.
let's dance. That's what you gotta say, man.
And I tell people this all the time, and I'll tell it for the show. Like, that school where I was in, it was so bad. Like, you can get into a fight in class, and the teacher would just break up the fight. Like, after you done got your hits in, he'll break up the fight after that and be like, all right, sit down and let me finish teaching.
Damn.
Principal won't even get involved, bro.
That's crazy.
People get in fights every day, and the principal would only hear about like 3 of them, only because it got real bad because somebody had a knife or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's bananas.
Like,
that's not safe.
Yeah, bro. Like, you don't understand when you're that young and think you're old because you just became a teenager. You feel like you're unstoppable. Like you just want to do everything, and you feel like if somebody tries to take that from you, you have to do anything to defend that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's actually pretty interesting too. I found this little tidbit. Bystanders, just witnessing bullying, actually has its own adverse effects. You know, I don't know how the government came up with this, but according to StopBullying.gov, you know, bystanders have increased use of tobacco, alcohol, or other drugs, increased mental health problems, including depression and anxiety, and miss and/or skip school just from witnessing bullying. Just, I guess, it makes them that uncomfortable or something like that. I don't know where the link or the correlation is there, but I'm guessing that's what it is, you know?
Yeah, yeah, damn. Who's taking these statistics? Good for them.
I get the person who's getting bullying having all those effects, but like bystanders, I mean, I guess because they're witnessing it and it makes them uncomfortable, maybe they don't want it to happen to them, but like...
Yeah, and that's what, to go off of what Dusty said, approximately 160,000 teens are skipping school every day just to avoid being bullied. And it's funny that I found that statistic because same school I was talking about, like there was with that time, like before I fought back, there was a time where like a couple of days I'm like, nah,
I'm just not gonna go deal with it.
and I would fake like I went to school, did some bullshit, went back home, like fuck it, and then eventually I'm like, I can't do this every day, fuck that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's crazy that I found that statistic. Like that's just an outrageous number.
Word, facts.
There's one, you know what's funny? Like we've been talking about just school, and I actually found, I looked up I found 3 different people that have unfortunately met the same end as I spoke of the kid in the beginning. Because, you know, most of the time it leads to that, or them taking another life, or them taking their own. There was a woman in Australia, she was a waitress. She suffered bullying at her workplace, which, you know, you think, like, you know, we're adults at this point. How is this?
How is that even happening? She
was 19 and she took her life. And it actually made the government enact the Crimes Act of 1958 to include serious bullying as a criminal offense with a max penalty of 10 years of imprisonment. I think that's great.
Yeah. No, that's definitely justice.
Yeah.
At its best, definitely.
And like, you know, but yeah, even at the workplace.
But what I don't understand is like, you know, we know bullying is becoming a really big problematic issue, not even just in the U.S., but around the world.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, population is getting more dense. You're going to have more bullying.
Yeah,
You're going to have more people rubbing shoulders and getting pissed off with each other.
And that's what I was going to say. I feel like even though there has to be something done about it, at the same time, there's only so much you can do about it in the same light. You know what I'm saying? Because they have a website. I don't know if you guys know, stopbullying.gov.
Yeah. That's where I'm getting a lot of my information from.
And they explain to these teens, you know, how to go about it, what to do. Some tips I never really thought about, but simple enough. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. Why haven't, you know, if it's really that serious, you know, try that, you know, because I feel like it should never, things will escalate the way they will, but things should never escalate, you know, to somebody wanting to take the life of somebody else.
Or their own.
Yeah, or their own, like, at all. It should never, I feel like when you feel like you're approaching that line, there needs to be something, you know, some type of outlet that makes these teens feel more comfortable to open up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something.
Yeah, we'll put a link to stopbullying.org on our Instagram, and I'm sure you can put something on our SoundCloud. But yeah, no, definitely, you know, they got a lot of tips, information, so I would check it out.
And we're going to take a quick break, enjoy this segment with Tea Time, and we'll be back to you after this.
What's up, guys? Happy Saturday. It's Rel Denton here, and welcome to Tea Time. First and foremost, I would like to thank you for rocking with my guys as always. They're a pretty entertaining group of young gentlemen. And I'm here to bring you a little bit of a lighter view on things. Today's topic happens to be bullying, which I think is basically America's pastime. It's made some of the strongest. It's made some of the strongest individuals. A lot of us get all uptight and bothered by the idea that our kids are going and hearing some certain things that might be true about themselves. Maybe your kid does have a stinky ass. Maybe that cleft lip of his does look a little funny. But what we are forgetting is that just 10 years ago, probably a little more, when I was in elementary school and my friends and their friends and our parents and their friends, when they were all in elementary school, they were being bullied some way, somehow. Made them into the bright young engineers, carpenters, developers, police, whatever you can think of. Made them who they are, and it made them stronger for it. Sometimes a kid needs to know everything isn't perfect in this world, because when you take those hits from life sometimes and you can't bounce back because you're so used to the world putting up a fight for you that you're not even putting up because you think it's not right to hear no or bad things every once in a while, you stay slumped, you stay in a depression, you stay in a funk. And sometimes you need to get that resilience, that urgency, or even that care in the world to be like, okay, maybe I'm better than this mistake or better than that fault. With that said, I think it's really not a problem if it's jokes. If we're cracking on people, think about it. There's shows now that are focused on like joking on people and kind of belittling people, and people are getting millions of dollars for that. That builds character. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I became me. That's how we all get through it. If it's a fun thing or just, tit for tat thing, let it rock. Even a few titty twisters, a few nut taps, who cares? But if kids are, fearing their lives or wanting to take their lives, it's a different thing. But still, they still have to be coached through these moments. That's like what I said last week. A lot of parents just have to care about their kids and their futures, because if you really see, or you really speak to your kid, you'll see what he's going through or know what they're going through. So it'll be easy to coach them through any moment, whether, they think they're fat and stinky, or they'll never have a girlfriend, or, they don't wear fucking deodorant. Who cares? Just let them know they can do these things. There's simple ways to make a difference. I remember when I was younger, I was being bullied. I was the biggest kid in my class. Came into 5th grade. I was probably like 5'8" or 5'9", 12 years old. And I had a thing for older women, so I come into, our school, 5th and 6th grade, hitting on seniors, not really caring about the guys that they liked or like them. So that caused a few problems. A few guys started to take it personal, and they thought they can physically bully me. I let it happen the first 2 or 3 times because I'm afraid. I'm in a new white school. I'm afraid that everything I do is going to be wrong. So I don't want to break anybody's face just yet. Then it just got to a point where I was just like, okay, this is crazy, because I was in the hallway and a teacher saw me stop by for 4 seniors. They picked me up and tried to like put me on their shoulders. I literally had to fight. From that moment, nobody messed with Rel Denton, baby. That was like, 6th grade? Yeah, you graduate in 12th grade. It was a smooth sail from there. But sometimes you just gotta stand your ground and make your meaning. I don't mean to take anything lightly. I'm not saying anything that there's anything perfectly. I'm not saying that there's answers in bullying. I'm just saying it's not the end of the world. Let your kids be kids so they can grow up and be young men and women. They're not going to hear yeses all their life, and everything's not going to be perfect. Let them grow, let them live, and we'll learn something from them. But that's it. That's tea time. Thank you for listening. If you like me, follow me on Instagram, RailDenton44, and we'll go from there. Take care. Have a good one.
And we're back. Roach Clips here. We're talking about today's topic, bullying, and how now it segues into gangs. You know, I know you two have some kind of story or association with gangs in that manner or something like that.
Yeah.
Hee hee ho ho.
I mean, I wouldn't say association.
I mean, I know people, but I was never a real affiliate.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, like I won't even say I know people, but I'm just saying I've seen things. Let's just say, you know, I mean, even in school or after school, when you're going to the bars, you're always gonna get some type of people who like either know or like are in a gang. And first of all, like, you should definitely watch out for that shit. I'm not saying you should go for gangs. There's other brotherhoods that, like, friendships you can be in besides gangs. Gangs take it to another level. Granted, you know, they're trying to do it for their cause, and that may be like family style or like, you know, having a better life for themselves. But like, gangs are, I don't want to say extremists, but close to it.
They're chaotic.
Chaotic.
Yeah. Speaking of gangs, and you know, think of Bloods, Crips. Speaking of Bloods,
closest to us. Yeah.
we have the red gentleman that came back. AKA
I was wondering when you
Velvet.
guys gonna fucking, you know, run
I got
me
you,
this
Jimmy.
shit. Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
It's
What's
your
going on,
heart.
people? JT in the motherfucking building. Sorry about that. Your man still works for a fucking living, you know. So
We all do.
yeah, I know.
They know how it go, man.
But you work the manual labor.
Yo, that shit sucks. I'm about to have to find another job though, because this pay is some bullshit at the moment.
I feel you.
You gotta love it up.
Yo, for real.
But yeah, to pick up on what Slim said, thing about gangs though, some people also look at it, I'm surprised you didn't mention it, people look at it as a way for protection.
Oh,
Yeah,
always.
You know,
100%.
and like for me growing up, I had a couple friends, distant friends, wasn't even friends like in my neighborhood or anything, but just friends I knew from around the way, you know, being with relatives or whatever, who were affiliated. I wasn't, but you know, people starting to come at me trying to bully me. I had to say, you know what? Yeah, you know what? I'm in a gang, so don't mess with me. Mess with me, I'm gonna call this, that, and the third.
Mm-hmm.
And once they hear that, they don't even want to test it because all you gotta do is just say it with a straight face. You know how things, you know how it goes when you're young.
And
you gotta stand up for yourself.
The crazy part about it is like, people bully other people all the time, and like, you don't even know who they know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what they're about. You don't know who they know. You don't know if they're affiliated with any kind of gang or not. Like, you don't know their family. They could be mafia. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, I get you get pleasure out of it, but like, do you not care about your own life? Because at the end of the day, like, if this person knows or is in a gang, then you're done.
Yeah.
And
People kill for less.
And we're not even talking like on the child level anymore. We're talking on the adult level,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
You know, like we're talking about 18 to 45, 55 years old people, anywhere in between that age gap. You know, maybe even older. You know, because gangs consist of anybody. Gangs don't just fit one demographic. You know, you yourself just said Italian. You know, Russian.
Mafia, Russian gangs.
Especially in Cali, a lot of the Latinos,
Oh yeah.
big gang problem out there.
Yeah, it's serious.
Cartel. You know, it's a broad spectrum of gangs.
And then you know what, man? Like people discount that shit a lot, but like, you know, people don't realize that, you know, like, you know, let's say you're a white bread individual. If you know, forgive my, my words, but you know, they forget that a lot of their favorite businesses sometimes are run or backed by mafia money, yakuza money, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't realize how far and what people will go in order to get what things that they need. You know, the worst thing is too, you run into situations like that, and then you start owing people money and shit like that, and or say if you get a loan. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? And they come to collect. Say you gave back everything that you collected, or whatever, but they say no, we're still going to take about 10%. You know, every pay period though, or every whatever it is, every quarter and shit. And just make sure, you have this amount of, we'll check your records and shit. If you don't have that shit, how many people end up fucking broken legs and all this shit and stuff. I mean,
Straight
And what it
bully you
is,
for
and what
that.
it is because they want
Exactly.
to stay underground. The fact that you found them out, they exist, their face, they're gonna keep you in their loop, and they're gonna make you pay for it at the same time because they don't want anybody else out of that loop to know who they are. So once you're in, you're stuck. Yeah.
You want to know what the crazy part is, though? I was a part of the biggest gang in the world. The American government, bro. The U.S. military. It's the biggest gang in the world. If you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, if it,
So are all gangs bad?
No.
my fraternity is
No.
technically a gang. Technically, because we're not recognized by the college that I was at, by where I became part of my fraternity.
Oh.
So technically, any unrecognized group of individuals that meets up regularly, so on and so forth, hangs out, so on and so forth, is a gang.
We're considered
Or-
a gang.
Yeah, because we
5
have
more-
a banner, we have
5 or more people,
Yeah.
Yep.
I think. About five.
Roach clip, gang life. Brr.
No.
No,
Yeah.
but
Oh, boy.
No crack. No crack.
No.
But it's funny too.
Nah, just joking.
The
No,
Black
for real.
The Black Panthers. They were considered a gang,
Yeah, they were.
and they were actually neighborhood watch.
basically.
Look, you can look at our founding fathers and all them. They were all considered a gang. All the people who led the revolt and the revolution and all that stuff. They all started out meeting stuff like that, little gangs and stuff. But as I forgot, I think what was it, Slims? I think was saying before. Not all gangs are bad, but the things that get affiliated with the name of the gang or this, that, and third, they're. Because I do know a couple, members of, some affiliated, we'll say some real gangs.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all terribly bad. There's a lot of them that actually do raise events and stuff like that, do like food drives and stuff like that, and do cook for the communities and.
And funny you
and
say
stuff.
that. I was gonna say is I can use Jamaica for an example. You go into the nitty gritty parts of Jamaica, you see these residents. They're out there holding their weapons and whatever, defending their territory from the police and from anybody coming in. So they're a gang, and they might be doing some other things behind the scenes that isn't good. But at the end of the day, their purpose and what they agree on is to protect their neighborhood and what little they have. So at the same time, you can't really blame them for it because it's
There's that protection.
There's conflict everywhere, and that's the protection of it. Yeah.
A lot of businesses too. Like, look at all the spots. Like, a lot of they'll protect their favorite food joints. Everything is that they're just hold them down because they do them good, and they'll do stuff back. So gang people are affiliated with certain gangs are some of the realest people that I've ever met in my life. Not saying that they're good people or bad people, stuff, but like some of the most straightest shooters. They'll tell you what it is. They don't like you. They don't like you.
Yeah.
They like you. They like you.
Like here's
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
no, that's how they roll. I mean, it's hard to say because like Pablo Escobar, considered the king of cocaine.
Yes.
He's from Colombia, which my mother's from, and he took care of his community.
Mm-hmm.
He made sure kids went to school. He made sure all these, everything was up to par. And it's like, it's like, what do you say about that? Yeah, like he got people killed and all this.
He did a lot of bad and a lot of
good. It's like, it's like a double-edged sword. And I think, actually, I apologize. I think it was the Crips that was formed as a neighborhood watch. I said Black Panthers.
Oh,
I corrected myself.
Gotcha.
There are good gangsters. There's people that get out of gangs and try to teach the youth hey, this isn't the life for you, bro. Like make something of yourself. And I give big props to that. But that is not an easy life to break away from.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Remember in school, if you remember school assemblies where they'd have people come and stuff, that there was a bunch of times there's, gang members that came, ex-reformed, whatever you want to, however term you want to use for it, came and gave speeches and stuff, and there needs to be more of that,
I don't know. I feel like not to play devil's advocate, but I'm just gonna say what I said before. I feel like there's so much you can do because you gotta understand it's not just you. U.S. problem.
It's
global.
international.
Oh,
it's global.
Stupid global. To the
Bullying
point
is.
Bullying,
I mean,
gangs.
look at Trump
bullying,
and Kim
gangs.
Jong Un or
Yeah.
Kim Jong. Yeah, I always confuse the
Kim
two.
Jong-un.
Kim Jong Un got. Yeah, look at those two. That's
Yeah.
just a straight pissing contest between the two. They're
Yeah,
bullying
well-
each other, you know. And
That's
we're all
not a
gonna
pissing
die.
Contest with anybody though.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's true. Oh God, he's always in this goddamn podcast. Stop being stupid, Trump. Yo,
Fact.
funny
Stop
story.
being a bully.
Word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop being a
Bully
bully.
free zone.
Word. Not my president.
Or
Hashtag. He's a bully. All right. Well, I actually, it's funny that we were just talking about gangsters. I actually met a blood in Port Jervis, and
That's funny. I'm sorry.
yeah, he was a nice guy though, man. Like that's the shit. Like, granted, if you do something stupid, it'll probably knock you the fuck out or worse. But we were talking. He bought me a drink, and then when I was leaving, I was like, all right, man. I went for a dap. This dude did some fucking hand shit to me. He's like, that's how blood says goodbye. I was like, oh, okay. Like, he caught me off guard, but like, I didn't hold it against him. But I was like, yeah. I was like, holy shit, man. But
That's crazy.
how'd you roll with it? If you don't,
I
mind
had
me
no idea
asking?
what
like.
was-
Did you?
I had-
How'd
look,
you like?
I have no idea what the fuck he did. I don't want to know. I am not about that life.
Yeah.
I go home. I pet my cats. I go to sleep. I'm about to gang bang bang shit. Nah, that's just not me, bro. I keep it real. I know who I am.
Nah, I
You
feel
know what I mean? So, like, but yeah, no, like I've met gangsters, like, people that were in gangs and shit, and just like you and me, man. It's just their perspective is a little different from ours, but they're still people.
Yeah, I served with some of them. Some of them were pretty chill people, and some of them were straight assholes.
yeah.
But I think we did share a lot that there are good gangsters, but honestly, I wouldn't get involved in it. It's just too much. You're risking a lot for a little, to me.
Yeah. And like, I mean, give or take, these people for the most part who are in gangs are in poverty, going
For the most part, yeah.
going through some type of, traumatic,
I know.
emotional, things in their life, and you can't really blame them. It's kind of because sometimes you feel like you have your back against the wall, and sometimes when you do, who knows what's the fucking human mind.
If you're growing up in the projects and that's all you know, those all the people you know, you're gonna feel comfortable. You're gonna just kind of slowly just.
You're gonna do what you know. Off instinct, you're gonna do what you know.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's easy as just saying no.
Yeah, no, I was just.
Well, yeah, no, that's a good point you brought up, man. Like, it's economical, all that other shit plays a part.
Plays a big part.
Well, as far as gangs go, there's definitely good people and definitely, bad people, but like, as being a gang, you gotta be like the bigger bully. You gotta make sure you're superior in every way so no one else fucks with you.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. That's why gangs start having turf wars and all that dumb shit with each other, because everybody wants to be the top.
The top person, the bigger bully, the most superior.
Now, I gotta ask this.
Yeah.
I really don't, because I don't think it has anything to do with gangs, but like, I know I've read about like rappers that were in a gang. They get clapped up, and it's over just lyrics. Like, do you think gangster rap that kind of perpetuates the violence and all that shit, coming from somebody that does music?
Yeah, that's a good question, and honestly, it does, and that's why, if that's the type of life you live, then say that's the type of life you live. There isn't gonna have any issue if you say you do this, do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not smart about how you're moving and you start testing people and going public when you're you're basically publicly humiliating somebody, and to me, even though words is words, sometimes things hurt, and who knows what that other individual is capable of doing. So I feel like at the same token, you gotta be smart. It's the same thing with with these rappers snitching on themselves, saying everything they doing, and then 2 weeks later you see they getting locked up for all the pills or whatever they had in their car. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
or the Instagram with like everybody got like a fucking gun pointed
yeah,
at the camera.
pointing at the camera or whatever, just
Stupid.
like, flexing for
So
what?
stupid.
Yeah, for what?
Like you just ruined and threw out your entire career for a fucking picture.
Yeah, and that's why the whole thing with gangs, I feel like it's just move smart. Move for the community if that's what you're gonna do. At the same time, do it in a way where it doesn't have to be violence all the time. Protect yourselves, yeah, but I feel like all that extra aggression is just a part of the flex.
Yeah.
That's
So it's
really
kind
what
of,
it is.
so it's just part of, I guess, part of being, it's part of the lifestyle then.
It's just a part of the lifestyle when it comes to that gangster rap, man. And honestly, I feel like it should be like kind of like how Nas did and the other greats. Like, tell stories, but don't tell your story. If you're gonna tell your story, tell it from third person. You know, like, be creative with it. There's a reason why hip hop evolved the way it did, because of the creative, you know, diversity and wingspan of it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, you know, artists just need to be smart about what they're doing. You know,
Or,
like, I can go on for days about this shit. Bobby Shmurda freaking snitching on himself.
yeah.
First hit song, he's snitching on himself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just said, oh yeah, give me that. Oh, $2 million deal? Cool. Your bail set at $2 million. Give me that.
Gucci Man got fucking caught up in some shit too.
Gucci Man,
He's out,
see,
though.
Gucci Man's on a different level. Gucci Man is playing it smart. Yeah, he was, you know, violent or whatever, but he started giving back to other artists. He's the reason why a lot of those artists down south are blowing up. So I'm not gonna sit here and speak like I know exactly what he did.
Yeah.
But whatever he's doing, for what it's shown, like for what I can say, like about him helping, like the
Well, it went from
artists
like a
and
negative to a positive.
yeah, like, you know, he obviously must be, you know, he was probably pushing drugs or whatever, so they say, you know, allegedly, I'll say. And, you know, he was just so powerful, had so much money from what it seems that, you know, he was able to get himself out every time and then bounce back. And then eventually, you know, he made so many mistakes to where, you know, it was like, you know what, let me really start giving back and really being, you know, doing my thing, being a grown man. He's faithful to his wife, you know, he's not out here like, yeah, I'm slinging dick at 40, you know what I'm saying? Like, or 50, however old he is. Like,
He old,
he's really,
right?
He's fake old. I'm not gonna say what exactly his age is, but he's up there.
No.
You know, but yeah, you know, you could just tell he's on his grown man shit.
So we're going to start ending the show with a quote. Today's quote's by Lynette Mather. What if the kid you bullied at school grew up and turned out to be the only surgeon who could save your life?
Damn.
So,
That's real shit.
teach your kids not to bully. Don't be a bully. That's about it.
Like, it goes back to saying, like, you know, definitely think before you act.
Yeah.
Like, being a bully, think about the future. Like, what if, exactly what Dee said, what if, you know, he's there to save your life one day?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost
But
like
you-
a butterfly effect.
But
kinda,
you
know?
bullied him, so now he's not going to save your life.
Yeah. You asked out.
And for the people out there getting bullied, don't ever feel like, you know, it's the end of the day, because things get better. It's just all about how you react and how you move forward. You don't ever have to show things attention that you don't want to see.
Yeah. And my thing is, please utilize the tools that you have. StopBullying.org is a great website. For any parent listening, if you think your kid's getting bullied,
.gov.
.gov. Excuse me.
Remember, suicide prevention hotlines too.
Yeah,
There's always somebody you can call.
Yeah.
There's you know, if you're in a bad situation, try to get help, man. Don't take it into your own hands or do something drastic, man. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't solve anything. You know, violence begets violence. We out.
Peace out.
Early.
Real shit with the Roach clip.